One thing I like to talk about is new games for old systems. I think that's pretty cool. Whether it's the NES, the Super NES, the Genesis, we've seen a whole bunch of new projects come to these systems, whether it's via homebrew, which are games built from the ground up for this hardware, whether it's via licensing acquisitions, where games that maybe never released in North America or never completed end up getting a copy of the game released on a physical format. Yes, there's ROMs floating out there for most of these games, but it's still fun to see because honestly, I think a lot of people don't really follow the ROM scene too heavily. You know, you might not get the latest information on a new ROM, but if you see a new physical cartridge or something, that sort of rekindles your interest. That sort of brings your interest into this game. But you see it a lot for 8-bit and 16-bit systems, but you never see it for anything really beyond that. Until today, there's a brand new N64 project currently on Kickstarter that looks pretty interesting. I'm not sure, how interesting the actual game itself is, but this is a game that was actually released on the PS1 and it got decent review scores. Now, supposedly the N64 version isn't quite as good as the PS1 version, but the N64 version actually had reviews out there. It was actually given review copies out in Europe, but it never saw the light of day. So this is the first time that this game will be available on a licensed cartridge. So today on the channel, we're going to talk about a brand new N64 game releasing in 2018, which is absolutely crazy to say. The game is called 40 Winks. So what is 40 Winks all about, and should you check out their Kickstarter? Let's find out.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! Now, before we get into the actual Kickstarter and talking about the game, I want to get the elephant out of the room because I know some of you guys will be in the comments section talking about the company doing it. And the company doing it is Pico Interactive. And essentially what Pico Interactive does is they pick up licenses of games that maybe never were finished or games that never released in a certain region and then acquire these licenses and then release the games in the region. And that all sounds fine, but I have heard stories about them going after homebrew makers after they acquire a certain license. Honestly, that's not my position to talk about. That's between them, legal reasons, courts, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm not really interested in that side of the thing, but I do understand that it exists. I have heard the stories out there, so I do understand why some people are a bit salty towards Pico Interactive. That's your choice. I'm totally cool with that. Everyone has their own reasons for things. I'm just more interested in a brand new N64 game releasing in 2018 because to me, that's pretty fascinating. So let's get into the actual game and the Kickstarter. Now, like I said, the game is called 40 Winks. Now, what is 40 Winks? It sort of follows a Knights-like story mode, but obviously it's not nearly as good as Knights because it's not called Knights, and Knights is like god-tier gaming. But 40 Winks, basically, you have a bad guy who is tired of good dreams, and he rids the world of good dreams. And in order to bring these good dreams back to the world, you have to pick a character and collect things. It's a collect-a-thon 3D action platformer, which was very common for that time frame. Think of games like Spyro, Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie. All the 3D platformers from that era were pretty much collect-a-thons. So the gameplay itself is nothing really fresh and groundbreaking. And like I said, this game actually released on the PS1. This game actually had reviews done for the N64 version of the game. And honestly, most of the reviews were pretty mediocre. I'm not saying that this is a great game or anything. I'm more interested in the fact that it's a brand new N64 game coming out in 2018 because that's pretty fascinating. And if you don't think that's fascinating, I don't know, I guess this video isn't for you, but let's take a look at the Kickstarter, see what they're offering, and then get to my final thoughts about what I think about 40 Winks coming on the N64. Alright, so a quick glimpse at the Kickstarter, and you can see this has been up since the 12th, and they've already smashed their goal. Their initial goal was $20,000. They have raised over $42,000 with 28 days to go. So that's pretty interesting. That's pretty telling that there's actually a market for N64 stuff, that people are still actively into the N64. And honestly, I can see why. It was a very fascinating system. The more N64 games you can have, the better, in my opinion. Even if they're not top tier games, they're just sort of mediocre games. I don't mind mediocre games. Some mediocre games like Second Sight are some of my favorite games of all time. That was on the GameCube, PS2, and the Xbox. But looking on, you see these sort of reward tiers that are available for 40 Winks. Now, you can get a digital copy of the game that is available on Steam for $8. I don't really know why you would do that because it's about the N64, not Steam. But moving on, you can get a single gray cartridge of 40 Winks for $40. And honestly, that's not too bad in my opinion. There are differentiating qualities of N64 blank cartridges out there. N64 ROMs and repros right now are starting to become a big thing. If you look on places like AliExpress, you can get a bunch of them. And there's differentiating qualities of these cartridges. So hopefully Pico Interactive will take the extra step, as this is one of the first North American N64 releases that I can remember that of a new game. So hopefully they take the extra time and care put into it so that we get a top quality cartridge. For $55, you can get a complete in box version of 40 Winks on your N64. For $100, you can receive a complete in box a special edition of 40 Winks. It comes with a special artworks, a special poster, a special edition POG, and colored collector's cart. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I kind of want that one because I like POGs. I think POGs are fascinating. I want to bring POGs back. $130, there is the N64 player and the N64 collector's tier. That is an early bird. And the collector's X64 is after the early bird is unavailable. So the most you're going to spend on this project is $150. And honestly, I don't really foresee too many people going that route. Maybe if they want to keep a complete in-box copy of the game. But it does look like an interesting enough game. I like 3D platformers. I'm probably going to have some gameplay of the PS1 version or maybe even the N64 ROM up on the screen while I'm talking so you guys could get more familiar with the game. Now there are stretch goals for this campaign as well. Some of them are locked. One of the first ones that they've sort of teased at is an N64 controller that is modeled after 40 Winks. Now, once again, much like the cartridges, there are varying qualities of N64 controllers. Most N64 controllers that are third party are not very good quality. So Pico Interactive, if you happen to be watching this video, please, 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 if you're gonna go that route, spend the extra money. Make sure it's a good N64 controller. There's way too many crappy ones out there, and I think collectors that will pick up this one that comes with an N64 controller will want an actual decent N64 controller. So we have sort of a mediocre game that is a brand new release for the N64 in 2018. What do I think of all this? What do I think about the campaign? Honestly, I like things like this, and I know people are going to be mad and be like, oh, it's Pico Interactive, they're not good people. Like I said, I've never had a personal problem with Pico Interactive or anything like that. I do understand why people would sort of have some issues with the way they do business. But that's you know, the business side of things. I'm a gamer. I'm more looking at the gaming side of things. And to get sort of N64 awareness out there and to possibly have more N64 projects because of this being so successful just within 2 days, I think that's the most exciting thing. Honestly, I might not even pick up this 40 Winks game. Like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I'm more interested in the effect that this will have on the N64 community. Maybe we'll see more projects unearthed that weren't released for the N64. Maybe we'll see all sorts of cool stuff. Maybe we'll start seeing actual N64 homebrews. Now that homebrew creators can see, hey, people are actually interested in the N64. People are actually willing to, you know, donate to crowdfunding campaigns for new N64 stuff. So that's the aspect I like the most about this project. An average N64 game coming in 2018, that's pretty cool. It makes a good headline. But the actual implications of it, the actual fact that this could lead to new N64 projects, honestly, that's the most exciting thing for me, especially because the N64 is just awesome. It was one of my favorite systems back in the day. It does have some of a small library, so I'd really be interested to see what talented homebrew companies and talented companies that are dedicated to putting out new projects on old systems, what they could potentially do with the N64. So I'm gonna have links to their Kickstarter campaign in the description box down below. If you guys want to check it out, that's cool. This isn't a sponsored video or anything. This is literally just a news story that I saw, and I thought, hey, you know, this is pretty interesting. You guys would probably want to know about it. And, you know, I like the implications of what it could lead to for the N64, both development, homebrew, and a licensing acquisition scene, because I'd love to see more stuff available for the N64. We see it all the time with the NES. We see it with the Jenny. We see it with the SNES. Let's get some N64 love out there too. It's an awesome system, right? Of course it is. So guys, thank you for checking out this video. Like I said, if you want to check out the Kickstarter campaign, there's a link in the description box. Will I be picking up the game? Maybe. I'm sort of dragging my feet about it. I would like a new N64 cartridge, so maybe I'll take, you know, the cheap one, the $40 plunge or whatever. Just get a single cart, because, you know, it won't have an end label on it anyways. Just throw it anywhere on my shelf. And N64 games just all blend together because there's no end labels. There's no end labels. But thank you guys for checking out this video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Check out all the links in the description box down below. We got social medias, we got Patreon, we got t-shirts, all sorts of ways to follow me and to help support the channel if you enjoy the content. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Yes, there is stuff missing here because the moving process has begun. Get used to this for a couple days. Hopefully I'll be in the new place soon. You know, today is Tuesday. I gotta move Sunday and my head's spinning. Oh my God! Later.
RGT 85. RGT 85. RGT 85.